YouTube, it's Maddie, the Empty Nest Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you stopped by. If it's your first time, I hope you enjoy the content, and if you do, I really hope you will decide to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you're returning, as always, I'm super glad you came back. And today is for those procrastinator folks regarding Father's Day. I did put out a little Father's Day video on Monday, but the question I have for you is, have you created a Father's Day card from your fur baby? Maybe you don't do that kind of thing. When I remember, if I have time, I like to do it from time to time. And I happen to be a little bit slow at clearing away all of my supplies from previous projects, and I looked around my desk area and found some scraps. This is what I have left. This is from something different, but these are what I have left. But the scraps that I found became the foundation for my Father's Day card for my husband from our fur baby, the Tasmanian Devil, who you may have or may not have seen on this channel. His name is Jake, but he is a wild child. Anyway, enough said about Jake. This is the card I put together for my husband from his boy Jake, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I am using. I prepared most of the cards, so it won't be super duper boring for you to watch, but I'm going to show you a few of the things that I had in my stash. Use what you got. Your scraps, your dies, your stamps. None of these things were purchased. I used my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. Not everything is always going to be a masterpiece, but you know, I'm using what I have, I'm having fun, and I'm sharing my ideas with you. So first things first, I gathered up some scraps that I thought I could create something out of. Then I looked through this little container, and I have in here pre-cut and scan and cut images, and I do have another one that is from the Tim Holtz Crazy Dogs, I think, collection. So I'll do this guy some other time. I picked a different image for the one I'm going to do today, and you can see I've got some colored, I have some not colored. I just keep these around, and when I don't want to start from scratch, if I have something appropriate for the project I have in mind, I go ahead and do that. So feel free to use that tip if you like. On a day that you are not feeling like completing a project from beginning to end, just stamp out some images. And if you're a fussy cut person, go ahead, fussy cut your heart to your heart's content. Excuse me, I'm not that person. What I do is stamp some images that I like to use or are hoping to try, put in through my scan and cut. Usually I will stamp and emboss them, and this way I could either use watercolor or alcohol markers, whatever it may be, because if it's embossed, it's pretty much good to go for any medium. So I had this die that I used for my Happy Father's Day sentiment, and I had some of these sentiments as well. I believe I used inside the card, "You are Possum." And in addition to that, from this set, both of these I had in my stash for a super long time. I just need to remember to use what I have. So I included also, I don't know what that, I'm sorry about that glare. I Woof You, and on the back, what I like to do with cards from Jake is use this little image here, which says, hand stamped by, and then I throw on Jake's name. So I'm going to put these aside. For the image, I did use my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and I think a water brush as well. I am not a great artist, but you know, I did my best and used the colors that are similar to the colors of my dog. So here I use this Nuvo crystal glass, and it's sort of leaves a glossy coat, and I did that for Jake's nose. I'm sorry about the glare. I'm looking for a place without glare, but it's not happening. Sorry about that. So this is you know, I used to have a different brand, and when I pulled that out, Glossy Accents, it had dried up solid. But this one, which was purchased a little bit more recently, not super recent, not this year, not last year, but it was still good. So who knows what century my Glossy Accents was from, or it could have just been empty. Hopefully I used it up, but not too sure about that. So I decided to use an A2 card in black, and when I use black, I throw in a white sheet so it can be written on, and you can see I did stamp the sentiments already, and on the back I already have hand stamped by Jake. So that's his signature, and I do that for all of his cards. So putting together the card that I pre-cut elements for. This was a scrap. It's gold. It goes with this scrap, which was also hanging around in my room. And then this for the focal point. And of course, little Jakey will go on top. So I don't know if you heard, but little Jakey is here right now. Let's hope that he doesn't make trouble as he likes to do. So let's adhere our panels and see if we can create this card in not too long an amount of time. And hopefully you'll have enough time to create a card from your fur baby. My fur baby just loves his daddy. He is a daddy's boy. And even though I am not a good artist, I like to try to put together cards from him, because I think my family gets a kick out of that from time to time. If I have extra time before whatever occasion, and I've completed a card that I feel is okay from me, I will add a card from Mr. Jake. So this one, it just doesn't matter which way is up or down. I'll check later on when it does make a difference what the orientation is. But here I'm just placing with a little border all around. I add the glue so I get some wiggle time, and I use the tape to just make sure doubly that it's adhered well. Nobody wants a card that's fallen apart. So I'm just gonna reach for my handy dandy block and put that down and move on to the next. So this is the other scrap that I had. It's got a little gold in it, and that's why I put the gold on the back. And I do like a double panel. I think it adds a little interest. I don't, most of the time, do very extensive work with my panels. Occasionally I do. Sometimes I get in the mood and want to create some backgrounds. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I can think of something that'll make them work. Sometimes I try to make them work and they don't actually work. But If I have scraps from paper pads, I do like to use those as well. Let's use what we have and have fun doing it. So here we go. This is the way the signature is going. So facing me, this will be the front and the proper orientation. So again, I like to use the glue tape combo because that does give me a little bit of wiggle room. So here is my die cut sentiment pre-made. Let's see if I can show you what it looks like. I knew I was using a black card base, so I did cut it out of 100-pound and stack it up 3 times. I like to give it a little bit of heft and dimension, and that usually does the trick for me. So for this, I'm pretty much a glue gal. Gonna set this down and see what I think about placement. Happy Father's Day. Round about there, see if this fits, because I did test it out earlier and I thought it did, but I had to be a little bit mindful because it was close. It was kind of a close call. Actually, maybe I'll put down the oval first. That might be my best bet. So again, let's do the tape and then the glue. And this way, I'll have a good idea of where the sentiment placement should be. Now, normally I would put my image up on a wobbler when it's a funny little thing like this, but, and I just eyeball this. Perfection is not my jam, and you measure if that's how you like to create. Can do it. It's not happening here, but of course measuring would always be useful. It's just not who I am and how I create. Okay, so pretty happy with that placement. Going to put this down here to set it for a minute, and let's add our sentiment. So I have shaky and weak hands. Bear with me as I add my adhesive. This is super difficult for me. I don't know how it works for you, but super difficult. So I just do the best I can and roll with it. So just gonna glue that down. I like to use, being I am who I am, I like to use liquid glue that dries matte. So when you watch crafters and they are using their favorite glue, generally they will remind you not to worry, because if you choose a white glue, it's generally going to dry clear. And most, if not all glues, white glues anyway that I know of, do dry clear. However, my hands are shaky. my placement is not pristine, and I need something that will not only dry clear, but that will also dry matte. Because when I have used adhesives, white liquid glue that dry clear, however, they are shiny, they will call attention to any places where glue is oozing out. And since I know that I am very messy and prone to making mistakes, I absolutely want to do my best to find an adhesive that not only dries clear, but also dries matte. And the best glue for me is the Tim Holtz Multimedia Matte. As the name states, it pretty much dries matte. However, I found that it didn't really flow well in these teeny tiny bottles. I purchased these on Amazon, if you like, but apparently they are available anywhere. Not, any little bottle that has a pin and a thin precision tip will probably do exactly the same as this one. And I did purchase some extra pins from Bearly Arts. Here's my Bearly Arts. It's pretty much empty. I didn't waste it, but it dries shiny for me. Some people claim that for them it dries matte. Not for me. Okay, so pretty happy with that placement. When we're done, I will show you what it looks like. I've got that little apostrophe, I believe. I am not even going to try to stack that. This is one and done for me with that apostrophe. Okay, here's little Jakey. So that's a little bit what he looks like. He's a little zany, but this is not supposed to be a perfect representation. This is supposed to be a funny little card that I hope my husband gets a kick out of. And the coloring is a match for my guy. So I'm going with that's good enough. Oh my goodness, I cannot get this pin back in. That's how shaky my hands are. So if I don't get it in the next second, I'm just going to put it aside and stop torturing you. Just speed it up. You don't need to see this ridiculous. Here we go. Finally. Okay, for this, I'm going to use my Dollar Tree adhesive. Actually, I probably will use some glue on the top of these because I will probably mess up the placement on this too and require some wiggle room here as well. But I do want to pop them up a little bit and add to the little cute effect of my pup. So just a little bit. I know there are tons of dimensionals out there. You know, the most fabulous dimensional on Earth, sort of one named kind of like the Misty. And I'm sure it's great. I think it's repositionable, all the bells and whistles. But To me, $1.25, I love it. It's not huge. I don't have a problem storing it. And I'm happy. I'm happy with it, and I'm sticking to it. They have these chunks. I don't know why, but these chunks are housed in the automotive section. I don't know what car is put together with dimensionals, but somebody's using it for something with their car, or otherwise I just want to say, Dollar Tree, what are you doing? But before, Dollar Tree had a beautiful craft section and just had, you know, children's arts and crafts stuff. I still found this in the automotive section, and that's how I started looking at Dollar Tree as a place where I could pick up some of my, is this off already? Yes, it is. Some of my craft supplies. And, you know, they're not all good. That's a fact. They are not all good. But what company has anything that's all good? None. None of them are all good. So if we start with that premise and we want to do trial and error to see what Dollar Tree supplies would we purchase again, I say trial and error at Dollar Tree is a lot less painful when it doesn't work out than trial and error for most other crafting companies. So if you're in the market for dimensional, I highly recommend, or any products, I highly recommend giving Dollar Tree a try for products that look good to you. And now, of course, everybody knows that they have fantastic craft section, way better than they used to. And if it doesn't work out, yes, you're at $1.25. But if it does, now you've got something. So here he is. There's my little Jakey. Maybe you heard him in the background. Happy Father's Day. You are Possum. I woof you. And then I'll write a little something from him. But if you have a fur baby and you are interested in having that fur baby give a little card on Father's Day to the daddy that they love, please consider. And I may put some little paw prints in the corner or something, but more or less, this is what I'm going with. So I hope you enjoyed the content, and if you did, please remember to like and comment, and if you're not already a subscriber, please do subscribe. Have a wonderful Father's Day to you and whoever the father you're celebrating in your life. Till next time, bye-bye, YouTube.